welcome back, Purple Rain, to another episode of our Purple Rain podcast. It's our TLT preview show, Storm versus the Panthers for round 5. This Friday night at 8 o'clock down in below the border there for you Mexicans.
This one's Combank.
Oh, yes, it is. Oh, I'm still so stuck on this bloody. We played up in Townsville last week, and now we've got to go up to Sydney as well. Ridiculous scheduling. Whoever did that is dumb. But it is what it is. Hey, Aaron, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad. Another Tuesday night basketball. Just got home, had a shower, and get in here and get ready to do this.
Gave the beard a good comb. You're looking smick, mate.
Thank you. Just had a shower, yeah.
And we've come down from the big loss from Saturday night, ready to go for another game, huge game this week against Penrith Panthers. They're on top of the ladder. Aaron, just as I started last week, what's one thing you've noticed?
I've gone with a little bit of a funny one this time. I've noticed that Desi Freeman's pretty good at hide and seek.
Oh, yeah. Give us a little bit more on this.
They finally caught up with him. It's been, I think, 7 or 8 months now on the run. So they've caught up with him, and he's no longer the hide and seek champion.
Oh, fantastic!
What about you?
For those that don't know much about it, do you want to give us a little bit more? I know a little bit, but don't know heaps.
Basically, they tried to get in there and arrest him. I think late August last year or something like that. They went in there to get him, and he pulled his gun, shot out 2 cops, and then hit the high road. And they've been looking for him for ages, and there was conspiracies saying that they killed him on the day, and there was no footage. And now 7 months down the track, they say they've got him, and people are still saying it's a conspiracy because there's still no footage of it happening. So it's just been a bit of a story I've been following along, and I found it interesting that they caught him, which I always knew they probably would at some stage.
Yeah, I mean, the law eventually catches you, doesn't it? Especially in our country. There's not too far, there's a big country, but there's not too many places you can go and hide.
Yeah, he did a good job.
What have I noticed? Look, I'm going to go a little bit soppy here, Aaron, and notice that we just clicked over 500 followers. So less than within 3 weeks of us doing this. This is now our 6th episode together. We just clicked over 500, and we announced that yesterday. And as of right now, I'm just going through it now. It's 542. So another 42 people have followed us this just today. And it's just mind blowing, man. I said to you yesterday in a little message when I got all soppy and the heart sort of started to chug a little bit that I was very grateful, but I just didn't think that we would get this quick. And to this level, I thought this might have been something halfway through the year, if not by the end of the year. And you and I are just finding our groove. We're just having some fun, loving what we're doing, and we're at a point where I thought we'd be in 12 months' time within 3 weeks, and it's just mind blowing. And so I just wanted to say thank you to you, Aaron. You're an absolute gun, man. The content you put together, the way you talk on our podcast, I just absolutely love doing this with you. I love the background content creator, which is Jess, who sits in the back and does a lot for us, which has helped us and saved us a lot of time and helped give us a nice, the ability to be able to talk like this and just talk that stuff. And then the biggest and most important thing is I just want to say thank you to all our community, because obviously you're liking what we're doing. We're always seeking to learn. We have asked a few times if there's anything you want to talk about or anything you'd love us to change or add or do things. And I'm just a bit overwhelmed, Aaron. I really am, and I'm absolutely loving this. And I feel like I've got a whole new purpose of life, which is funny to say about doing something like this. But I've just loved it. So thank you, mate.
No, and thank you for pushing me through the door. I mean, I wouldn't have got here without you guys giving me the nudge, and thanks to Jess for doing all the hard yards in the back that no one sees. So she's getting out some really good content now. It's looking really, really professional, and we keep putting out that good content and keep asking the community what they want. People keep tuning in.
That's exactly right. Hey, Aaron, how much is a litre of diesel down your way?
325, 325. It's getting up
How,
there.
when was the last time you filled up?
I filled up tonight on the way home.
How much did it cost you? How many litres?
Uh, I had about a quarter, just over a quarter of a tank. It still cost me 150.
$150. I filled up
Yeah.
on the weekend, 51 litres, cost me $185. It's $3.19 here.
And then they want to talk about
Mate,
putting interest rates up.
and well, actually, and there's the next thing, right? So then, are you a mortgage owner? You own your home?
We have a mortgage, yes, we do, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I own mine too. And have you noticed that the last two RBA rates, did they stay the same or go down or go up?
And last two have gone up.
The last two have gone up. And so here's a little segue to something that I really want to talk to you about. The cost of living at this point in time is expensive, man. Like I just bought a slab of beer, cost me $65. Something that I was paying about 6 months ago, I was paying less than 50 for. Mate, my fuel's expensive, and now my interest rates are going up, and so I'm struggling to put the power and the roof over my girl's head and some power on it. And I've got something that I want to announce, and that's that we've got our very first major sponsor, and his name's Con, and he's from the Freedom Finance Group. You may have seen a little announcement that we put out a couple of days ago, talking about it. So like I'm going to be very honest and say that this is a bit of a personal thing because he's been my mortgage broker for me particularly and my family for the last 5 years. Con is an absolute gem, and this is our little baby, this Purple Rain stuff. And I'm not going to get a sponsor on here that I don't truly believe in. So if I believe in this guy, I know that I can talk to our community that I love and adore with absolute confidence that Con is your guy. I've got a little spiel I want to say, Aaron. I'm sorry to bore you with a bit of robots, but um, we're obviously proud to welcome our new sponsor, Freedom Finance Group. His name is Con, and if you need anything from him, his phone number is 0405 175 396. It's great to have him backing the show. For those who might not know them or didn't really notice, this guy named Con is an absolute legend. He's the kind of bloke who generally looks after his clients and goes that extra mile. As I said, I've personally worked with him for now on a few home loans. He's remortgaged my home just here that I live in now twice. And his attention to detail is absolutely top tier. With interest rates the way they are right now, it's definitely worth having a chat and making sure you're getting the best possible deal. And as Aaron just very well said, they're talking about this rates going up again. So right now is the best time to do it to lock in a really good deal. A little example of what I think of Con is I've been with my current mortgage bank for 18 months now. I rang Con 3 weeks ago. I said, Con, but just about to start with a podcast called Purple Rain. Would you be interested in sponsoring us? He said, yeah, I would be. And then I said, well, how about, can you look at my mortgage? And he did. He rang me and he said, mate, it's not worth it. You're on one of the best deals. I'm going to get money from a commission if I do it, but it's not the best thing for you. So he's gone and done a day's worth of work and got absolutely nothing out of it. That's how freaking good this guy is.
Welcome aboard, Con. Thank you. We appreciate it. And, hopefully that goes towards bringing some new content, doing some good things this year.
Yes. I will put all of his details. I'll tag him into this post. You'll see it in the bio. I'll also put his number in. If you want to get a deal, make sure when you ring and make contact with Con, you just mention Purple Rain for your offer of a cashback or an extra discount that he has waiting for you that he will find. So just make sure that you say Purple Rain when you ring him, and he will happily help you out. Let's get into the footy. So there's been a lot happen. Mad Monday. It seems like every Monday something mad happens, and there was a fair bit of news that happened yesterday, Aaron. The first one was the first news that came out was that the Storm, have signed Jermaine Asako to a 2-year deal that starts in 2027. And I know when we put this out there, there was a lot of comments around saying, can we get him now? How you feel about that, mate?
I think it's a good signing. I mean, he's played 164 NRL games. He's got a lot of experience. He's been the top point scorer in the competition. We said clearly we were chasing a kicker. He kicks at 81%. He's played 15 internationals, 2 different countries. This is a guy that you bring in who's going to hit the ground running, and we're not going to have to spend too much time getting him up to speed to play the way we want. So I think it ticks a few boxes that we were trying to tick as well. I also think it helps him because his wife's down in Melbourne, or his wife's family lives down in Melbourne. So he's going to come in. He's going to have a good support network straight away. He's not going to feel like he's on the outer. He straight away he can come in and really make Melbourne home for the next couple of years and maybe longer. Who knows? But it is a good signing, and it's a one we desperately needed since we're losing Meaney.
This is one of my favourite wingers in the competition. He's flashy, he's fast. He can score tries in any way, shape, and form. He has a solid aerial game, which replaces that sort of Meaney Warbrick position. And look, he's not superb in defense, but there ain't too many defenders that are wingers that are good defenders. So I don't have that too big a problem. But he's also a big body. He doesn't get pushed over. He's a good leader. From what I've heard from people in around the Dolphins, is that he's a really good dude. So he fits that cultural perspective too. And obviously 77 tries in his career. He's kicked at the Dolphins for the last, 4 or 5 years at 81%. He's just an elite kicker, one of the best kickers in the comp. Loves them from the wings, loves them from those sidelines. I'm super keen on this signing. And look, at 2 years, it is that like I would love to sign him for longer, but get him in, get him adjusted, re-sign him again. We've locked this guy down for a while, so I really like this signing. On a negative news though, it was announced pretty much about an hour after we announced Asako, is that Warbrick has signed, which was kind of inevitable. The way they were talking about it in the game last week and things is we all knew he was going, but hadn't been official. Warbrick signs with the Waz, starts next year, and that's a 2-year deal, I think, off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think everyone knew that was coming, and I think the way the Storm like to operate is they wanted to make sure that they could get Sarko's 10-day cooling off period over, and then it was official, so that they could announce Sarko first, and then Warbrick would come out and say he's leaving, just to soften the blow, but at least to show that we've got a plan, and we're not, it's not the rats jumping off the ship, or it's none of that. It's Warbrick's obviously going back to his motherland with his wife, and Asako's coming down to his wife. It's a bit of a win-win, and that's footy, I suppose. It's a job for these guys. They do this as a job.
100%. He came to us coming from sevens, won a gold medal. It was a risk for him to come over to us to do that. He's come along leaps and bounds. He's built his career. He certainly helped us. If I wanted to keep him, would I keep him? Absolutely. But I hold nothing against him. He's going for a payday. Nice deal back home. All the best to him. We've got a big year in 26, so we've got some big high expectations of him. Let's move on to probably the worst news of the day, and that was our Tui Kamakamika. News yesterday was that he was in hospital after a stroke. Aaron, you've got a fair bit of information you'd like to talk to us about.
Yeah, like yesterday, I just want to mention there's a few Facebook Storm pages out there that are at the moment which are just genuine AI crap, and they link you to articles full of ads, and they all just write absolute nonsense that some Storm fans believe, and there's so much shit chat around this yesterday when this is a serious incident. I just wanted to put a few of the facts out there, what happened with Tui, and try and just let people understand that Tui was at home. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. He went to the toilet, and when he went to the toilet, he fell over. His wife found him at the toilet and called an ambulance straight away. They rushed him to hospital, and then when he was at hospital, they straight away put him in for surgery. They'd found a blood clot in the front of his brain. Now, they did something called a thrombectomy. I don't understand what that is, but apparently a catheter goes in your groin up through all the way into your brain, and then they pinch that blood clot out of where it is in your head. So they've done that successfully, and they've removed the blood clot, and then he went into ICU. Now, he's stayed in ICU for for one day, and apparently this afternoon he's come out of the ICU and he's back on the ward, which means that was a success. The ICU is one-on-one treatment, and when you're in there, you are at the hands of a single nurse. When you go back onto the ward, you go back onto the rotation. So that means they feel like they've done well, and they feel like he's in a stable condition. So for anyone out there posting those shit articles saying, the worst and really going down that path, don't believe everything you read, and definitely don't share it, because that's traumatic for some people. I mean, he's got a wife, he's got kids, and the best thing about this is he's gone home to them now, and football for him might be over, because let's be honest, in 2026 we gave him one more deal
1 year.
at a bargain rate just to put him in the leadership group and keep him around the club, because he's been there for 10 years and he's a great bloke and everyone loves him. He's a respected part of the community, and he's really part of the family. And then we've given him this one extra year, and then he's in the best shape of his life. If you've seen his rig, he's built like an Adonis, and he's as healthy as can be. And it just goes to show that anything can happen. One night in your sleep, you have a tumour, not a tumour, a blood clot, and you fall over. So the most important thing about this is he's alive, and maybe his career is over, but I'm sure the Storm will rally around this guy, and he'll have a job, and it's really sad, but it's also really pleasing to hear that they did a good surgery, and he's back, and he's coming good.
Mate, I don't even care about his career. I know he's a Storm player. We love him absolutely. But all I care is that this guy is healthy, he's fit, and that surgery has come out okay. I watched Nas yesterday on a bit of an interview for his boxing match this weekend, and that was quite funny. But he told me that he has seen him and spoken to him. Cameron Smith's come through and said that he's seen and spoken to him. There's a few guys that have come out and said that they've met up with him, they've talked to him, like he's doing pretty well. And the story is classic Tui. He's come out and he said, I just want to play. I'm pissed that I'm not playing this weekend. So that's the character that this guy is. I don't care whether he comes back or not, just as long as he becomes healthy and is okay. Well said too. There is some absolute garbage pages out there that have so many people that like him, and it's just ridiculous. Let's go to our TLT. So we play the Panthers. We play them on Friday night at 8 p.m. up at Combank Stadium. Let's start with the home team. We'll go with the Panthers. So they haven't really done much. No real major changes. Dylan Edwards at the 1, Jenkins and To'o on the wings, Alamotti and McLean in the centres. In the halves, you've got Talangi and Cleary. In the forward pack, they've got Moses Leoto in the 8 and Lindsay Smith at 10, with Freddie Lussick coming in for Kenny after his suspension. Oh, don't get me started on that. Ridiculous. I can't believe that. But anyways, we spoke about some of these inconsistencies and things last week, and it literally only lasted not even 2 weeks, and we've already seen some inconsistencies. The match review committee are a disgrace. Sorry, Aaron, that I hijacked that. Freddie Lussick comes in at the 9 for him. Papali'i and Martin for his 150th game rounds out the edges, with Isaiah Yeo at the 13 in lock. Off the bench, their 6-man bench rotation is Cogger, Billy Phillips, Scott Sorensen, Luke Garner, Tungo, and Kalani going. And then for the Storm, we have Sua Falongo at fullback. We've got Warbrick and Tuamalatu Brown holds his edge for a second game. And then we've got Meaney returns in for Moses Leo, who is showing delayed concussion protocols. So he is out again. So Meaney and Howarth, watch that space with Howarth. He went off last week. He's been named. Let's hope he comes up, but just watch that space. In the halves, we've got Munster and Hughes. The props, Stefano and King, with Grant in at the hooker position. And then we've got the edges, Joe Chan and Alec McDonald gets another game there with Liero at lock. And then our bench is Wishart, Moali, Hetherington, Cooper Clark, Varlepu returns in, or comes in for Tui, and Wadarera rounds out the 19. So basically, mate... Meanie back is huge. Leo out. I feel like if Leo was healthy and he got through that concussion, I think STB probably is the one that gets dropped, but he gets another game. And then obviously Varlepo comes in for Tui. They're the big talking points. How do you feel about our TLT list?
Well, I'll start with the Moses Leo one. That's 2 head knocks in 2 weeks now, and 2 HIAs where he's gone off and with the Cat 2 and passed both of them on the day. So it's not something where it was a Cat 1 and he's been ruled out. He finished the game last week, so he must have been okay after the knock, but it is a delayed symptom. So they've opted to rest him or let him recover. So I do think that bringing Meaney into the centres though, and putting that combination back for Munster and Meaney there on that edge, there's 2 years of repetition there, and we've seen in the last couple of weeks that Munster Leo combination just hasn't been gelling. To me, it's looked like Munster's been overcompensating, and whether he's not trusting Leo or it's just the whole edge defense, but it really looked like Munster was sidetracked and not playing his own game because he was too focused on helping the others, and that's that's bringing down Munster's game. Not only in defense either. Like I think it's in his head. It's going to affect his attack as well. So I personally like bringing Meaney back in, and I don't mind giving STB another shot on the wing. To be honest, he's a young kid, and last week I know he only had I think it was 6 runs for 50 meters, but I'm sure they've told him this week up against Milky Jenkins, put your body in front, try and just get involved in the game, try and help the forwards and go and look for work in the middle. And you've got to get through 10, 15 runs and you've got to do what Warbrick does and X does when he's there. And that's really get into the middle, find some work and then get back out there and defend your edge. And hopefully the 3 men inside him, being Alec, Munster and Meaney, can stay connected and really give him, confidence that he can play the wing spot like we know he can. I mean, he's a future talent, but we just need to give him another chance because you don't want to break him after one, let's say, average performance. He wasn't great last week.
People are talking really loud about the removal of Sewer from the fullback, and I'm going to give a brother of mine a shout out here, and Mr. James, who is a Supercoach lover, and I know that there's a few people that through the Purple Rain stuff that have been talking to me because they've caught on that we do a Supercoach podcast as well, Aaron. But James is an absolute diehard. He can be quite negative, and he's one of the loud ones that have been in my ear about dropping Sewer from fullback, putting Meaney back, and putting Sewer out to a wing or centre. Now, I'll speak first, and then I'll let you go with this, Aaron, because you touched on this a little bit last week. Now, this also has come up because today Luke Keary and Graham on their show spoke about Sewer, spoke about how bad he was in defense, some of the issues that he's got. And I'm just going to say, and I'm happy to be, and I don't have my rose-coloured glasses on because I want to get into the Storm with the Purple Rain page that we've got. I'm going to call people out where I'm going to call people out, and I'm going to call players out where I've got to do that. But this news of Sewer moving from fullback to the wings or whatever, or even being dropped, is just absolute garbage. And I'm going to tell you why. People sit here and say that Sewer was the reason against the Broncos that they scored 3 tries in that first 10 minutes or 12 minutes. Sewer was not the reason why they scored 3 tries in that first. Now, he didn't help a couple of times, but he wasn't the reason. We had a 14-0 lead at halftime against the Broncos. The Broncos came out and blew us out of the water. There was maybe one try where it was a pretty poor effort, but that he allowed, but that was not on Sewer. And to be fair, without Sewer in that game, we're not even in those positions to be able to do the things that we did for that. Last week against the Cowboys, we were up 24-10 with 13 minutes to go. In that last 13 minutes, Sewer was not the bloody reason why we lost that game. There was a whole heap of stuff. Now, the fullback, right? So everyone sits there and talks around how important the fullback is to, communicate and lead and do that. And yes, okay, so Sewer's learning how to do that, to communicate and tell you guys to shift and becoming that leader. But when your edge defenses was like what it has been for 13 minutes against the Cowboys and about 10 minutes against the Broncos, as bad as they were, there's not much a bloody fullback can do to protect 4 or 5 guys in front of him. He can't do everything. Now, does Sewer have deficiencies in defense? Absolutely. Is he young? Hell yes, he is. Is he our future? Absolutely he is. You're not dropping him down to the bench or put him on the wing where his defense is going to be even more on show for you clowns out there that keep telling him that he sucks and he's no good because of his defensive deficiencies. Aaron, I'm a bit furious about this one. Please either tell me to shut up and I'm wrong, or back me up here. I don't mind either way.
Yeah, no, I'll jump in and I'll say last year, Sewer, when he got his run, because we had Paps there, we played him on the edge. And what you find is teams know he's out on the edge. And you know how easy it is to find a winger and run over him compared to finding a fullback and running over them. To get to the fullback, you've got to get through the line, and there's got to be a breakdown first for you to have to meet up with the fullback. Now, yes, we've seen Sewer have some issues with his positioning and where he starts from, and he might think he's a little quicker than he is at stages and leaves too much of a gap, and we do see that. And I mean, even last week we seen Braden Burns go into the line, and he just glanced him, like tried to bump him rather than to put his body on the line and eat the contact. So look, I'm not saying he doesn't have his issues, but if you put him out there on the wing and if you put him on Jenkins' side, mate, they're going to go to Jenkins all day and run at him. And if you put him on To'o's side, To'o's going to put him into the first row of the stand. So no chance we don't play him at fullback. We gave him a chance to start there this year, and he's been fantastic. Probably maybe our most consistent player, if not definitely top 3 consistent player for the first 4 rounds. So there's no way I move him. And, what's meaning to the fullback? We just cause more issues, start moving too many players, and we're just asking for more trouble.
Guys, get into my DMs and have a crack at me for that. I know my brother will. I love him. He's definitely a good dude. James, I freaking love you, man. But I just can't take this take, and I just don't see it. And it's not his fault. And I'm going to give you another example, is that Tedesco, the reigning Dally M winner, or very close to being a dual Dally M winner, has been absolute terribly bad in the last 2 weeks. And there's been a lot of talk around his defense. And it's not Teddy's fault. It's not the fullback's fault that they have to come through and protect their edges like they have to. There are 12 players in front of your fullback. If it gets to a fullback and his deficiency is that he can't tackle a guy who's already broken the line, there's not a hell of a lot much that a fullback can do. And if a Tedesco's struggling with the body size that he's got and his defensive prowess, there's not much a Sewer's going to be able to do. And I just think it's I think it's a knee-jerk reaction and an easy one to target for a guy like him. For something, Sewer's just an easy target, and I'm not living with it. I don't like it at all.
Agreed.
How do we beat the Panthers on the weekend, Aaron? I've got some few things in attack. I want to start with, I think the battle of the forward packs is enormous this weekend. Our forwards need to do something more than what happened on the weekend. They need to shore up that middle. Talk to me about what your thoughts are around the forward packs.
Now, first of all, the the one thing going on our side is that Mitch Kenny isn't playing, and then they bring
Yeah.
Freddie Lussick in, and by the look of it, they don't really have an out and out 14 utility that can cover that spot. Like they've got a few players that they can put in there, but they haven't got a specialist that can come in and cause too many dramas. Just on paper, I suppose, but so that's an option. I mean, we've got to tire Freddie out. We've got to get into him. We've got to make him make 30, 40, 50 tackles and keep running into him. He's not going to run the ball, and that's not what he's going to be tasked to do. He's going to pick it up off the deck and try and get the ball to Cleary, Yo, and Talangi. And if we can tire him out and then get Wishy on there, and when Wishy comes on fresh, he might be able to make him make some decisions and carve the middle up there. So that's a start. That's where I'd be starting to work against them. Then they've got Yo, who is the best link man in the competition. That, without a doubt, my favourite lock in the competition. Absolute workhorse who's going to control the ruck and who is also going to be that middle link there. So I think Trent's game this week is it's the big man versus the big man. Those two need to go at each other, and it's going to be a battle. And then the other one is obviously Nathan Cleary. Last week he was incredible. He had 4 try assists, and people get into him and say, oh, he's overrated and he hasn't performed in Origin. But this guy is the best halfback of the generation, and mate, people saying he's shit. That's tall
They're
poppy
jealous.
syndrome. That's ridiculous.
Correct.
He's that
Yeah.
good, and he's in that good a form, and them coming off not making a grand final last year. This team is scary. So it's really going to be about limiting Nathan Cleary's time with the ball. And in the past, what we've done to target these damaging halfbacks is like when you look back at the Felice Kafusi kind of age, we just tasked him with running that inside line and just going inside on the halves and just shutting down his time before he's got the ball. So I'm going to go with this week. The battle is the chin off. And it's going to be
yes, okay. Get into that.
be Alec McDonald just pumping Nathan Cleary every time. So let's go. It's chin versus chin, and that's what I reckon.
Aaron, that is pure gold right there, mate. That is pure gold, and I love it. Well done. Okay, so there's a few things. I'm going to touch on. Gosh, you put a lot. I'm glad I'm good with my notes. So the first thing is Nathan Cleary a GOAT? Yes, he is. Nathan Cleary, by the end of his career, will go down as the best player that we've ever seen. So it's just the way it is. Now, the only reason why people don't like him or have any hatred towards him is because of what he's done on the Origin arena for the New South Wales Blues. And to be fair, as a Queenslander, I couldn't give 2 shits about that because I love that he fails on Origin period because Queensland wins. But Origin is different. It's a different game. It's reffed different. It's managed different. It's reported different. It's the MRC manage it differently. It's just a different game. You cannot hold a guy who helped and steered a team around the park for 4 years in a row, winning 4 premierships. You just can't do it. The guy is an absolute beast. He is a freak. He's got talent across the board. He's not an athlete. He's not that wicked, speedy guy that, that NRL love to do and that NRL people love. But, man, he's still agile. He's still quick. For the size of him as a halfback, he's just a freak. And I just absolutely love watching him. And you sum that up with him very well. People are just tall poppy syndrome. It's literally just because he is that good, we hate him. It's as simple as that, instead of just appreciating how good that we have, because we may never get another guy like this. You know what I mean? So we've got to appreciate these things and stop bringing them down. The next point is Isaiah Yeo is also my favourite lock, although at the moment I'm really, really liking Aaron Clark. I just love watching that guy play. But Isaiah Yeo for a long time has. And the thing about Isaiah Yeo that really helps with Nathan Cleary is that Isaiah is Nathan Cleary's wingman. That's their right-hand partnership. And that's the makeup of the Penrith Panthers. If you can get into those two, like the amount of times Isaiah Yeo is first receiver off the play of the ball, and offloads or tries to or slows the play down to make sure Cleary gets in exactly the right position so that he can make that next play or get that pass is really important. And so this is why I've put into the blueprint of how do we stop the Panthers. We have to get quick line speed. We can't be slow like we were against the Cowboys. We have to be quick and fast and in their face. We can't allow Yo to run sidestep to sidestep like he likes to do to dictate what that whole line of the Panthers do, which then frees up Cleary to be able to get his kick in, get his fourth tackle kick up, put you deep in the corners, 40-20 opportunities that he tries to do, that if he misses, he still buries you deep in the corners or puts it out deep. That helps, that allows their wingers to be as dominant as they are because those two just work so well together. But they work so well together because Moses Leota is taking on the line 3 and 4 tackles in. You've got, who's the other? Oh, Lindsay Smith is he's coming off the back of an international series and has been one of the most improved players in the competition the last couple of years. So I really think this forward pack battle is just going to be, is just imperative that we either stick with it or we dominate it for us to have any chance to win this game.
Yeah, look, again, with that forward pack, Penrith have set themselves for this game. Last week I believe they were up 30-4 and they took Yo off for the last 35 minutes of the game and gave him a rest. And then they took Liam Martin off as well and they put him on the bench and they gave him a rest. So, they know they're priming themselves for a big game this week. They know that they had the Eels covered and the Eels, sure, they put on 20 points. 20 points for the game last week, which is a bit of an anomaly considering Penrith have only let in, I think, average
7.5 points.
7.5 a game. So a bit of an anomaly there that they let in 20 points. But let's remember, they took Isaiah Yo off and they took Liam Martin off and they gave their kids a run. So I wouldn't be reading too much into that 20 points there when they turn up and turn on.
And Penrith still scored 3 tries from 54 minutes on. 54, 57, and 77, and they still get the 3 tries. Even with that. They're just a juggernaut at the moment. And they're not unbeatable, but they're a juggernaut, and they're intimidating, and that's the start right there. The next sort of point that I've got with that is one thing that Penrith have been... that they won 4 premiership on the back of this is... they grind you into oblivion, essentially. And what that means is that they will just go set for set. They'll just keep going. They'll set for set. They'll get 40, 50 meters, and they'll just grind you until you make an error or until you give away a penalty. And then Cleary kicks at 30 meters and they get field position, and then they just jump you. And they dominate you from that position. And then they wait again. So then they just go again and again. And it's just that grind. One thing that we have to do that we have been unable to do the last couple of weeks for those periods of time where we got dominated by the opposition was errors and set restarts. We're going to have to, well, that's in the defense, but errors and attacking issues.
Yeah, look, Cleary's going to put the ball up and he's going to put it in the corner. And after watching last week, seeing Sewer and Warbrick drop those 2 balls, Cleary's got a long memory. He's going to remember that. And these are going down their throat. And their line speed is as good as anyone in the competition because they're fit and they will do it for 80 minutes. So our challenge is to stay in the game for 80 minutes and really work out of our back end. And as I said before, that means that Warbrick and STB need to come in off their wings and really look for work because the forwards are going to have their job to do on the defensive end in the middle. If they waste too much energy trying to get us out of our end, I think you'll find that Penrith might get on a roll, and once they get on a roll, they're a very hard team to stop.
Yeah, we're going to have to lock down an average of about 40 to 50 meters a set. if we have any of these 20, 30-meter sets that we've been doing a lot recently, we're in some trouble. But the thing is, we've got the guys that can do that, and we've got the class in the spine, which is the next point I want to talk about that I think really need to step up. I think our spine is one of the best, is probably, in my opinion, the best spine in the competition. That's bias and unbiased opinion. Sewer at one, Grant at the hooker, it rounds out the other end, and then we've got our halves in Hughes and Munster. Tell me a better spine in the competition. I don't think there is one. I just don't think that they've clicked and gelled yet this year.
Yeah, I touched on it before. I think Munster's head's been a little bit out of the game. His attack's a little bit off just because he's so worried about the defense and like little things are going wrong. You saw him leave that ball last week and that rattled him and just like he's better when he's a free spirit and he's not thinking too much about what he needs to do for the team. If getting Meaney back next to him this week puts him more into that standard operating procedure kind of feeling and they just work as a team like they did for the last 2024 and 2025, maybe he frees his mind and maybe, we see that off the cuff Munster that brings his running game and finds his outside men. So I think bringing Meaney in might unlock Munster's attack.
Let's move to the defense. So one thing that I think is really important, and this links into that grinding game that the Penrith Panthers thrive on, is we have to limit our penalties given away so that Cleary can't kick the ball up the field, especially in their 50, in their half, sorry, and no repeat sets. We've really got to limit that.
I mean, the start of the game, you're going to have to feel out that ref, see where he's going to leave it. I don't know who's reffing. I haven't even looked, to be honest. But we're really going to have to feel it out and see what he's going to call. And then we're going to have to listen to the ref because Penrith are a team you can't give a piggyback to. Give them good ball and they'll make you pay. I think their points differential's 110 or something over 4 games. So definitely not the side you want to march down the field.
You're going to love who the ref is.
If
there was
anyway.
Storm
I was going to say they all
mate,
shit me, but
pick one ref that you think would definitely get that sort of marquee round 5 matchup. Storm Panthers. Who would it be?
Atkins.
No, it's Ashley Klein.
I don't mind him. I don't mind him. He's all right. I don't mind him.
I like him in Origin. I don't like him any other time.
As long as he lets the game go and he doesn't try to do his little power trip. Sometimes when he gets on his little mood, he's a bit annoying. But if he lets the game play and he probably wants to see a good spectacle too. Like these teams should be allowed to stand and bang. Like let's not get too nitpicky. But in saying that, he's got a job to control the game. Hopefully he controls it without overstepping his line. And the best games are when you don't notice the ref. So, and the best game is when the game's over, no one's talking about the ref. So let's just hope that he gets his job done properly. And it's, as I always say, it's not a conspiracy. Like he's not out there trying to make one team win. Whether he does or he doesn't is a different story, but that's not his intention.
The next 3 points that I've got here are kind of things that we've spoken about already, and so I'm going to put them all together because I really think this is one really big defensive mindset we're going to have. How do we curtail Cleary's influence? How do we stop their wingers? Because at the moment their wingers are bonkers. They've got a plus 110 point differential, and they're allowing at a 7.5 point a game. I honestly think this is all going to come down to what happens in the middle. If Munster and Hughes lock in those sides, then you got the inside of that is McDonald and Chan, and then your props and Harry all through that middle. If we can lock that middle down and curb that influence from their middles into curbing that influence that Clear is going to have an influence. He's just that good. It's about trying to make sure that influence doesn't affect us too much, where he pins us deep or he works on those. He works on that field position that we give up. That will then stop the influence of those amazing edges that have just absolutely dominated teams so far. Do you sort of see that as a good assessment?
Yeah, look, I mean, definitely the middle's going to come into it. In saying that, they're dangerous across the park. So they've got the leading try scorer in Milky Jenkins. They've got Toto, who's well, actually, his run meters down this year. I think he's averaging something like 140 meters a game. I think this year, which is down 60, 70, 80 meters on his previous two seasons. Now, I don't know if that's
Well,
well,
they've just dominated.
yeah, I don't know if that's just because they don't need him and they've been finding other ways to get down the middle, or
Well,
um,
he gets a lot of his meters from kick returns, and they've just been dominating teams to the point where he hasn't needed to get that catch deep in the near the try line and get his 20 30 that he gets three or four times a game. They've just absolutely smashed teams.
yeah. And look, Will Warbrick's going to have his hands full. He's a strong man. He's the post contact meter eater, so that's going to be a battle to watch. Hopefully, Will can stand and bang, and hopefully, they Toto doesn't go for 250 meters because usually when he does go for 250 meters, they're playing their brand of footy. So
I agree. Anything else you want to touch on with this game?
um, there's a couple of things. If Howarth doesn't play,
Yep.
I think the option there would be Mania would come in and play at centre.
Yep.
That would mean another rookie combination on that edge with Husey and Chan and Warbrick. But I think last week we seen that Mania's a strong boy. He looks fast. He looks agile. So I kind of have. If Howarth doesn't play, that will be not great. I mean, we do need a bit of experience there. But if he doesn't, I kind of have a feeling that Mania might show that in the centres he might be a half decent player. So something I wouldn't mind seeing, but I don't know if I want to give up a Howarth for this particular matchup.
I love that call. I think it's a great call. I don't want to see Howarth not play. We definitely need him. I I'm going to give this week before I start doing too many big calls or start to say any changes. If we go to this game and we look terrible and we get blown off the park, I'm going to go in my review show on the weekend and then into TLT next week going there's got to be some serious changes and I'll put those forward. But at this point in time, if it is Howarth, I think the easy call is Mania. I agree with you. Without doing a big shake-up. There are some other thoughts that I've got in terms of I'd love to have, and as good as he's been, I could put Chan in the centres there, replace Howarth, and then shift some people through those lines so that Valepu gets in there and does a little bit with that. But yeah, at this point in time, I think just going into this game against Penrith, if Howarth doesn't come in, I think just a straight swap instead of a big shift around.
Yeah, not too many shifts. And look, the other one that I had there that I think is worth a talk about is we've brought Hetherington and Mawale into the
Yep.
17, and Tui's dropped out. So now we've got two blokes on the bench that both of them are pretty explosive forwards and really can be used
Massive.
in a
Yep.
in a short, sharp punch. Like you might need big minutes off your Kingies and your Trents and your Josh Kings, but you can bring these guys in and just literally take the leash off them and say to Jack, "Go on, there's the red flag to the bull. Now just go out there and run through them." And they don't call him Mad Jack for nothing. Like he could make a difference for us. We really haven't seen that with Tui now. Tui's been great, and I think he's done everything asked of him when he's been there. But Jack adds something different, and that's the guy's a psycho. So um,
And
maybe
so is
just
Mawali.
unleash him. Yeah,
And so is
just unleash him
Mawali.
and just get in there and just cause damage. If they run at Freddie Lussick for 20 minutes, both of them in their 20-minute stint, and just put everything down his chest, he's going to have a fun 40 minutes, let's say that.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree with you anymore. And it dumbfounds me that those two boys are not getting minutes. Like last week, they didn't play. They sat on the bench. Like it just, I don't understand. Like I get Moali's leaving at the end of this year. He was a 1 year sort of venture for us, but so what? Like we don't care about 2027. We care about right now and 2026. And I think he has something to offer, particularly some big boy grunt that we could really use through our pack and in the game. And I would love to see that. And I would love to see Hetherington get that chance. That's why I'm kind of my thoughts are like my real thought is that Chan goes to the centres, Hetherington comes into that edge, and we just shift around a little bit. That's kind of what I would like to see. But yeah, we'll see how we play on this weekend. And go from there. Anything
There's
else you want
another
to add?
option. There's another option there with Alex been in the second row for 2 weeks now, and that combination, it's developed a little bit in the couple of weeks, but I don't think Alec is a second rower. I think he can do a job
Agreed.
there, and I think he can run some lines and whatever, but he's not a second rower. For me, he's an impact forward, and his leg speed is what makes him special. He hits the line, he finds his feet, and he plays the ball, and that's what makes him such a quality, reliable player. So maybe there's an option to. I don't think they'll do it because Bellamy will want the combinations, but can you shift Jack into the second row and just let him go mental out there and really run some tough lines, and then bring Alec back to the bench and try and get a little bit of punch that way? That's another option. We could potentially try and not necessarily win the middle battle, but like put up a better fight than last week. Our forwards
Agreed.
combined ran for something like 30 runs between the four of them, which it's not going to cop it. It's not going to work this week if we do that.
No. I agree. Let's go on to our listener or our community questions that we put under our TLT today. So, one from Nathan Thompson has been absolutely dominating the engagement. Man, please don't ever stop. Nathan says Meaney and Jack will play. They haven't named any other backline players in the extended bench apart from Mania. I think Brown will drop back to bench and Mania takes his spot. Other than that, could see Macca drop back to the bench and Hetherington replace him or Hinchy. I, I don't have any problems with any of that really.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Hinchy get a game, but I don't think it's wise putting him up against the Panthers and another new combination. And it's like feeding him to the Wolves. He's only played one
Yeah.
NRL game. You're going to put him in there and you're going to say, go on, try and stop the four-time premiers off the back of missing finals and then coming into a season looking like this and then break his soul basically if they carve him up. So I wouldn't do it. It's not fair on the kid.
Matthew Quinnell, another one who's been getting quite into our into our engagement pieces and having a good chat. So throwing this out there, just defence wise, Brown to drop out, Wish to the wing. Is he even in there?
Tolau. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
on
but
there. He's on there. He's on the extended.
Oh, he's in the extended. Yes, that's right. So Talau is there, and then that goes to utility role. I like this lineup. More reps for the kids and the combos. No better test than against the best. Last time we played them, we were depleted and they were at full strength. Much of the same for me at this time around.
I don't mind it too much because we know that Harry can play 80 easily if he has to. And then you get Tolau who can come off the bench and be that impact 14. And Wish he's proven that he's a workhorse and he'll do a job out there. But again, I'm giving STB another chance on the wing. I think he's another one. We don't want to crush his soul just because he didn't do what he needed to do last week. Sometimes a second chance is what you need to light that fire in your belly. So I think give him a second chance.
Question from Adam Taylor. Hopefully Bellyache has put a MOAB. Now I know you went in the comments and asked what MOAB means, and I'm glad you did because I didn't know what that meant either. Up all their butts and start playing like they were round one as a team. They have looked very disjointed and frustrated the past couple of weeks. Hopefully they can get a bit of motivation to do it for Tui this week. I'll just jump in quickly, and you can tell me about the. Oh, actually, tell us all. What is MOAB? You found this out, Aaron.
I actually haven't read the answer. I didn't go back in. I went to basketball and didn't get an answer. So,
Oh,
have
so
you?
it's mother of all bombs.
Oh yeah, he
That's
would
what
have
it
got that
means.
all right. Absolutely would have.
So I just want to say They've looked disjointed and frustrated the past couple of weeks, and I'm going to disagree. They haven't. They haven't looked disjointed. They have just looked bad for 25 minutes. And if you go back through a post that was created yesterday about statistics that our creator put together for us, it clearly shows that we are in the top echelon of all the teams in the competition for pretty much all the important stats. It's only that a short period of time for 2 games, we were woeful, like worse than bad. So we haven't looked disjointed, I don't think, and we haven't looked disinterested and frustrated. It's only just that in those key moments of the games.
Yeah, like I said it on the last podcast as well. I really think most of those games, what have we played? 4 games now, and I feel like there's 25, 30 minutes of terrible football that's cost us 2 games. Now, really, if we don't go to sleep for those 20 minutes in one game and 7 minutes in the other, we've got a whole new conversation here. And if you're looking, I know it's happened, but if you just say it didn't and we got through those 2 games and we won, we'd be looking at the stats and teams would be saying, oh my God, they're dangerous. So we're not that far away, and we do have a lot of new kids in new positions and in new combinations, and to be able to still be complete and over 80% with the combinations we've got, it's a positive sign, but it's frustrating that we're doing these little things that are losing games for us, and it's something that's haunted us for a while now. I sent you a little thing today about the games we've dropped in the last
Yep.
From being up in the last 6 months, and there's a few really concerning ones there, and it really is starting to become a mental battle there where teams know if they get one on us, they can get 2, they can get 3, and the game's always alive when they're playing us, and you don't want to give teams that mental boost. You want them to think the Storm of old would just grind you out of the game and do what we used to do when we had the big 3. And if we were up 14 points with Cam, Coops and Billy, Cameron Smith would kick you out of the game, and we just wind the clock down and we'd grind you out of it. And, you never felt like it wasn't going to be a short result, It's like now, 14 points up with 13 minutes to go, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, shit myself, because who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Grant asked about Leo, which you spoke about quite heavily, which was about his delayed concussion protocols. And then Shane's asked a question. What's up with Varlepu? Thought he looked decent. Prospect seems to be on the outer.
I replied to Shane there. That's Brandon Smith's old man, that one. So welcome to
the big cheese.
Yeah, that's Brandon Smith's old man there. And Shane's a good man, and he loves his footy, and me and him have talked footy for a long time, and I think he's got a point there. Valepu was brought down and he was playing for the Falcons, and he was doing good things, but as soon as he came in, I thought to myself, he's pretty big and he's got heavy legs.
Huge.
And like that's not a bad thing in a sense, but I mean, we've seen big guys come down to Melbourne. Like we've seen your George Rose, and he just couldn't cut it because he can't buy into the training regime. And then you've seen your Sam Cassianos, and like he come down here as a rep international player, and like everyone hyped him up. He got himself in the best shape he could be. He bought into the training systems, and still he was too slow, and he didn't do what Bellamy wants. And the way I see it is, for Valepu to be dangerous, he needs to work on his leg speed. He needs to do what we do, and that's what we do is we try and get Harry to play downhill. And if you look at your Alec McDonald's, your Trents, your Kingies, and your Stephs, and even when we had Nas, like Nas tried to get to his feet as fast as he could, and when he wasn't getting to his feet, Bellamy made him sit in the 2s, and like he was a massive weapon, but like if he wasn't going to do and be fit and do the things that Bellamy wanted, he went down the pecking order, and I think that's what's happened with Valepu. He's a big man, and if he can't be that explosive, get to his feet and not make mistakes and do that, he's not really fitting the mold of the game plan we're trying to play. That's just my take, but that's where I see it.
I agree with Shane. And shout out to Cheese, the Energizer Bunny. I'd love you back at the Storm, mate. You were my favourite player when you went there, and game on, game out, I would call out for the Energizer Bunny. I like Valepu. I think he's he can be a player and he's got a position in the NRL. I do agree with you though that he is just slightly too big. He is a big boy. And he's just slightly too big, which I think has made him lose that one or two leg of pace that doesn't fit with us. And I think he can, if he can just lose a little bit of weight, hit the gym and do a bit like that, then I think, and I'm not saying he's overweight at all. He's actually just a monster of a bloke. He's all
No,
muscle
not
and
overweight. Just he's got
he's
heavy
he's
legs.
just
He's thick
huge.
set. He's
Yeah.
just got that low center of gravity and really
Yep.
really low to the ground weight and big body, and like that's great for bending the line, which we need. But then on the other side, you need some agility there, and you need to be able to change directions, and you need to be able to work with your inside and outside men. And I just think that Bellamy is wants him to show more before he gets a consistent spot in our
Agreed.
17.
I absolutely agree. Well done. And thank you to everyone getting in the questions. Keep them coming. Don't forget that what grinds my gears is coming for the weekend. A post will come out for that. We had 30 odd comments across the socials for that one. So that's a big deal and people like it. And I've commented a couple of times on YouTube and that to replies to people asking how we get into it. So there's obviously some interest in it. Just before we go anywhere, just a quick reminder. Thank you to City Sports. They've put up the captain's jersey. It is an absolute hit. There's 512 comments. Can't wait to watch you count them up, Aaron. Aaron has got it today. We found out that it is a size large, which is a good size for most people. Um, all you have to do, it's very simple, is to like and follow our Facebook page. Tag a mate. Every single tag is one extra entry. I would love, there are 512 comments right now. I would love you to make Aaron work, get to 1,000 comments, make him count up 1,000 names. That would be absolutely fantastic. I would be tempted to try and find something for someone if we could get that 1,000 comments going. I might throw something extra in there or something. I don't know, but yeah, make the big fella work.
Give it to me. Make it hurt.
Awesome, mate. Anything you want to finish on?
I want to finish on one thing that has been touched. I'm not sure which comment said it, but this week with everything going on, like there's a bit of perspective out there that Tui's just had this happen, and everyone in this whole organization feels that really rocks everyone. So for me, this week's one of those games where you want to play for the bloke that's played for you. This is a game where you want to get up for Tui's family, and just to show him that we care, and we're going to do everything we can to hold the fort without him there, and it's really sad what's happened, but this is one of those games where it's a big one. So do it for your teammate and get out there and have a crack.
Win, lose, or draw this weekend, if we turn up and provide what we provided for the last 15 minutes against the Cowboys, we're going to be real disappointed. If we turn up and we play hard and we show Tui the respect that he deserves, I think every Storm fan here is going to be really happy with the team. I think we've put together what we think is going to win. What I want people to understand is that Tui had offers to go, from what I've been told by a couple of journalists, Tui had offers to go to Super League for double the money that what he was given for the Storm, but he wanted to have this year with us. He didn't want to leave us. Now, unfortunately, circumstances out of his control has affected the fact that he's probably not going to play with us again, and that's a killer. I hope we step up, we come out big, and we just show that we are one big community club. That was one thing that you and I both said on the very first podcast within the very first few minutes. One thing that we love about our club is that we are one community. We all love each other. And I hope our boys come out and absolutely dominate. Let's end it on that. On that call, Tui. We love you, brother. Get well soon, and let's go Storm on Friday night against Penrith.
That's it.
See
Much
you,
love,
everybody.
Tui. Sending all the love, mate. For all the families behind you, and I hope your family and your kids are dealing with it okay.
See you later, guys.
See you, mate.